Welcome back to our special election coverage. We have a race we want to get to at the top of the hour. Lieutenant Governor, it is Mike Parson versus Russ Carnahan.
Yeah, Mike Parson apparently is claiming victory in this race. Take a listen.
I looked at my Tahoe the other day that we drove. 150,000 miles are on that vehicle. And let me tell you this, we have one of the most beautiful states that you can imagine in the state of Missouri. I mean, this is who we are in the state. When you look at the agriculture lands to the urban areas, and I've been to almost all. Me and Teresa's almost been to every county in the state. You know, we're so proud of being able to represent Missouri. And the values that I think at the end of the day are who we are, that we prevail. And that's why I got in this campaign in the first place. And you know, I mean, if you know, but it's like, you know, make no mistakes. I'm not doing this for me. This campaign's not about me. It's not about me and Teresa at all. It's about us. It's about all of us here tonight. It's about what we believe in. It's about what we believe in. But more importantly, this election, I've said all along, it's about the next generation. And for most of you here tonight, you've had the right, you've had the experience to live in freedom and to live the American dream. Me and Teresa started out with nothing. A car payment's what we started out with in our marriage. And we've got to live that American dream. And most of you tonight, if you really look back at what you've done, your accomplishment, that's what being a Missourian is, that's what being an American is, and to those privileges. But I tell you, the lieutenant governor's race, and all of your people that are here tonight, let me tell you what our responsibility is. It's to the next generation. It's for our kids and our grandkids to make sure that they get the opportunities that every one of us tonight have had in our lives and our careers. That's what this election's about. It's what the national election's about tonight. Those are the things that are important in this country, in this state. That's who we are as Americans. And that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor and why we were so fortunate to win with lieutenant governor.
So you've been listening to live remarks there by State Senator Mike Parson, who is now, for all intents and purposes, claiming victory in the race for lieutenant governor, becoming lieutenant governor-elect here in Missouri. Right now, he's got about a 30-point lead over his Democratic challenger, Russ Carnahan.
Right, and Parson is from Bolivar, representing the 28th District. He served 12 years as Polk County Sheriff. So tonight, as you had just heard out in Bolivar at Smith's Restaurant, he did say thank you, really, to everybody.
51% of precincts reporting in that race, and our political analyst, Brian Calfano, felt pretty confident in saying that Mike Parson had won that race. You heard Mike Parson in his remarks there saying that he did this, not for himself, but for the people of Missouri. We also have been telling you that it was called pretty early on that Donald Trump had won the state of Missouri. Our Nick Thompson has been out covering a GOP watch party over at the Ramada Oasis tonight, where Nick is now talking with the local chairperson from Missouri for the Donald Trump campaign. Right, Nick?
Yeah, guys, the returns have been coming in, and folks have had the channel tuned to Fox News, and there's been cheering a lot in this room tonight with all those electoral votes pouring in for Donald Trump. Joined now by Aaron Willard, who was the Trump campaign's director in Missouri. And yeah, just describe a little bit to us, what was it like to work on that campaign this year?
Oh, I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, the grassroots activity was unbelievable, like nothing I've ever seen before. You know, and been involved, you know, for over a decade in campaigns here in Missouri. But I mean, just the outpouring of support. You know, I mean, people who felt, you know, disaffected, hadn't been involved in the political process before. You know, independents, moderates, even, you know, Democrats, obviously, that really felt like that they could relate with Donald Trump. So I mean, it was incredible. You know, and I think that was all corners of the state and every county. You know, we had reports of that, people saying, hey, look, we have recognized Democrats here that are really going to come out and support Donald Trump. So it was incredible. I mean, it really was an amazing experience. I think that showed here tonight. You know, I mean, fortunately for us, when they were able to call the state, you know, fairly early. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a very unconventional campaign that the historians will be talking about for a long time. What do you think made this campaign so successful nationwide? You know, a candidate who had never held elected office before.
I think that's exactly it. I mean, I think a candidate that really was very unconventional. You know, I mean, I think somebody that said, hey, you know, I've never run for office before, and you know, it's really important to me. I'm going to take my message directly out to the people, and I think that's what people wanted to hear. They wanted an outsider. They wanted to hear somebody who who didn't have that kind of experience in Washington, D.C. So.
And if Donald Trump, of course, prevails tonight, what do those first 100 days look like, you think, after inauguration?
Just like the campaign, I think it's hard to tell. He's just an amazing person. an incredible leader. And so, I think that, if anything, though, he's somebody who really, he kind of rolls up his sleeves and he digs in and he starts right away. So, my guess is, he's going to do it just like, the campaign, where he's an incredible campaigner, works very hard. He's going to roll up his sleeves those first 100 days, and he's going to go out there and he's going to expect results. So I think, there's a lot more to come if we can pull it off here tonight. So.
All right, Aaron Willard, thanks for joining us again. He is the state director for the Trump campaign here in Missouri, and we will be back here later tonight, hopefully, with reaction from Senator Blunt. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Nick. We're going to get back and talk about another race that we're watching closely, the one for U.S. Senate here in Missouri. Jennifer, you got the numbers to share.
Right, Roy Blunt, the incumbent Republican, with 56% of the vote to Jason Kander's 39% of the vote. This is 52% of precincts reporting, of course. Kander is behind Blunt, and that is something that we've been watching all night.
Brian, what do you think about this? Can we call this for Roy Blunt at this point?
I would call it for Roy Blunt at this point. You have more than half the precincts. He's got a 17 percentage point lead. There is no way that there are enough votes in Metro St. Louis and Kansas City to swing this for Kander. And again, I'm coming back to this whole notion that you have Hillary Clinton dragging down these state-level Democrats, who otherwise ran pretty decent campaigns. Both Koster and Kander followed that Jay Nixon strategy of being conservative Democrats or moderate-type Republicans. Of course, Koster was a Republican, as we've said. And that's just not resonating with Missouri voters down ballot. And I think you're seeing Hillary Clinton underperform nationally, which is why you're also seeing Democrats doing quite poorly. Much worse than any polls would have suggested leading into tonight.
As long as you're talking about that, folks up in the control room, can we pull up the graphic right now that shows the race for governor here in Missouri? There are other media outlets statewide that are reporting that this race is over. We're not saying that at this point. I'm saying others are. Eric Greitens has 57% over Chris Koster's 40% in this race, with 60% of precincts reporting. Brian, what are your thoughts on this race at this point?
Same. Essentially, Hillary Clinton has tanked the opportunities for Koster and Kander to hold office because, for whatever reason, people just didn't warm to her candidacy, and somehow polls missed it. And I'm not just talking about one poll in one state. I mean polls nationally. The big story after the 2012 election was the polls overestimated how well Mitt Romney was going to do. And you saw Barack Obama come really early, relatively early that night, and win re-election. And so the thoughts were, well, this is the same situation here. Trump's not really leading in any poll. He's not really able to put together any kind of momentum in these polls across the country or nationally. And all of a sudden, we're seeing essentially Donald Trump with a much more realistic chance of winning the presidency tonight than anybody would have predicted. So, as I tell my students when I teach, a lot of times polls can be misleading, and we shouldn't be giving so much credence to them. Of course, it's only natural because we're trying to predict the future. We want to know what might happen. But as we can see now, people have a more egg or omelet on their face than I think they ever thought possible.
You have any thoughts, Jennifer?
No, I was just saying yesterday the polls were 4 points up for Hillary Clinton.
Well, and I guess you keep talking about the polls, Brian, and it makes a lot of people wonder, present company included here. If all these polls were so wrong, what do you attribute that to? You have a lot of people who don't have landlines anymore.
Right.
I don't have one. People who have cell phones who won't answer a phone call from an unknown number.
Right.
Does that factor into some of this?
It does.
Where they don't answer, or they don't want to, or don't want to tell you who they're voting for, or what's the deal?
That's it. And I had an interview with a British network the other day, and the anchor said to me, "Look, this feels to us," because they were going around the country to different battleground states. "This feels to us like the Brexit vote." Which the polls famously got
they
wrong.
Got that big time
the
wrong.
YouGov poll got wrong. They were shocked in the UK about the Brexit vote this summer. And he says to me, I know it's anecdotal, but I'm telling you right now, I think there's a lot of secret Trump voters out there just aren't telling pollsters how they're really going to vote. And the fact that it's possible to see Wisconsin go for a Republican, Pennsylvania is Hillary Clinton in that state hanging by a thread. We've got a less than 2 percentage point spread with almost 80% of the precincts in Pennsylvania. And if she can't hold Pennsylvania, This election's over. Donald Trump is the next president of the United States.
So this is really, this is a lot.
This takes a different tune than what you said at the beginning of the night.
Yeah. And I'm basing it on the polls. People say, well, how come you don't like Trump? It's not about liking or not. It's simply a matter of we have these polls. There are scientific approaches to trying to figure out what people are going to do. But as I have also said, it's very tricky in a poll because you're having to ask people what they're going to do in the future in most cases. So they're on the phone, or like you said, they're on the internet, and they're telling you, this is what I plan to do. Whether those people show up or not, it's a totally different story. One of the big assumptions was that you're going to get a lot of Latinos turning out in support of Clinton in states like Florida. Florida was supposed to be a Democratic win for Clinton, and obviously it was not. Florida was supposed to be tough for Marco Rubio to win re-election after not doing so well in the Republican presidential primary. Rubio won. So I think what we're seeing here, particularly when you add in North Carolina goes to Trump, Ohio goes to Trump, and Pennsylvania is close, is that we need to take a wholesale reassessment of how we go about polling in this country, have larger sample sizes, stop with the overnight polling, and figure out a way to at least report responsibly on these things so we're not misleading people going into the election.
We've got to interrupt you real quick because we got some breaking news going on.
Right. We are hearing right now that Chris Koster is conceding.
Today,
We're going to take a listen.
Missouri has chosen new leadership at the helm of state government. And I want to be among the first to congratulate Eric Greitens on his victory. And to offer my sincere hope that the governor-elect will lead our state toward a united and prosperous future. I want to thank all of you and the thousands of Missourians who have helped me in countless ways over the last 2 years. So many people that I have never met have given of your time, energy, and resources to help me in my effort to bring Missouri together. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I want to thank the men and women of the Missouri Attorney General's office who have stood by me through thick and thin over the last 8 years. The successes we have shared are because of your intelligence and commitment to public service and to our great state. I want to thank my campaign team, who did an amazing job over the last 2 years, presenting a vision for unity and progress to my fellow citizens. I'm proud of the case that we made to the people of Missouri, and I'm proud of each and every member of our team. You have earned my undying respect and gratitude. And I want to thank my family. Mom and Dad had 4 sons. Mom stayed up late when that is what it took to get our homework finished. Dad challenged our brains and illuminated our curiosity. I have been blessed beyond words to have these wonderful people in my corner. Finally, to my fellow citizens, it has been an honor to be considered by you for this important job. Throughout my professional life, I have loved working on your behalf as a prosecutor, as state senator, and attorney general. And even now,
Missouri
I'm
Attorney
grateful
General
for
Chris
the
Koster
responsibility
conceding the
and
race to
experience
Eric
that we
Greitens
have
now at his
shared.
campaign headquarters here in the Central West.
So you've been hearing some live coverage there, Jennifer.
Right. That is Chris Koster, the candidate for Missouri governor, conceding to Eric Greitens, who is now the governor of Missouri. The governor right there.
Yeah, the governor-elect, Eric Greitens, tonight. According to the latest results, he's got a very large margin, enough that Chris Koster has conceded. In his speech there, Chris Koster said it's his sincere hope that Eric Greitens can lead Missouri to a united and prosperous future. Chris Koster thanking his supporters for giving him the chance to run, thanking his family, as he said, thank you for the chance to have this high honor of running for this high office in the state of Missouri. But that's the headline right now. Chris Koster has conceded, so Eric Greitens is the new governor-elect of the state of Missouri.
What do you think about that?
I say, wow, because we would sit here during the primary season and think, boy, this guy Greitens, I mean, he's such an outlier. There's just no way. And I think to his credit, he had enough Republicans in the state coalesce around him, and not just rank and file Republicans, not just conservative voters, but the leadership in the party come together and support him, and obviously it's been successful for him.
We're going to go back out to Josh Hawley, who is he accepting the nomination to be the next Attorney General-elect of Missouri?
Missouri
Missouri, to meet people all over the state. And I think tonight, based on the numbers that we've seen, what we've seen, is that people are voting for their hopes and they're voting for their highest aspirations. They're voting for a Missouri, for a future for our state that looks different than where we are now. They're looking for a state for new direction, new leadership, a new vision for our state, and that's exactly what we're going to give them. You know, this is, the people of Missouri want someone who's going to stand up and fight for them against the dysfunction in Washington, D.C. They want somebody who's going to stand up to the political establishment and fight against the political establishment for them. And so I just want to say tonight to the families out there who are struggling to pay these higher medical bills, struggling to find a good job or to keep it, I want to say that I'll be your advocate. I want to say to farmers in our state who are stifled by overregulation from Washington, D.C., wondering if they can keep their family farms, I will be your defender. I want to say to teachers and to ministers and to those who are out there trying to change the world, I will be your champion. And I want to say this to the political establishment in Jefferson City. Those of you consultants and the lobbyists and the professional political class who've gotten used to running our state, your day is over. Business as usual is done, and I will be your opponent.
It's always fun to see those acceptance speeches, of course. That was Missouri Attorney General Josh Hawley accepting the nomination.
Yeah, so this is all happening kind of pretty fast here. Things are moving fast right now. Josh Hawley accepting, saying that he has won the race for Attorney General in Missouri. You've heard Chris Koster concede the race tonight. We are moments away from hearing from Eric Greitens, who is your governor-elect in Missouri. He's up in St. Louis with a watch party. We're waiting to hear from our producer that we're going to get up there to get his acceptance speech. He is the projected winner at this point with 62% of precincts reporting. He's got 57% of the vote over Chris Koster's 47%, so this race is over.
And by the way, on the presidential race, Real Clear Politics is called Wisconsin for Donald Trump. And I believe the last time Wisconsin went for a Republican was either 88 or 84.
Wow.
With Ronald Reagan's landslide, George H.W. Bush in 88.
So where are we on the Electoral College right now?
255 for Trump. He is 15 Electoral College votes away from being the president-elect. Who would have thought we'd be sitting here talking about President-elect Trump even three months ago?
And what states are we waiting on?
Still Pennsylvania. Again, Hillary Clinton's hopes to be the 45th president of the United States hang on Pennsylvania, and right now, according to the Real Clear Politics percentage, with about 80% of the precincts in, she is about a 1.5 up on Trump.
But can she win Pennsylvania, and does he have another path?
He's going to have a lot of paths.
Okay.
If he can win Wisconsin, he already has, but he can get Minnesota and Michigan.
We're going to go to Eric Greitens now, who's talking about being the new Missouri governor.
Guys, Sheena and I thank all of you for your faith, your hard work, your service, your sacrifice, your courage, and the fact that all of you have had our back. Thank you so much. You have had our back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, folks, earlier tonight, I spoke to Chris Koster, and he offered his congratulations to me and to all of you. Yes. And to those of you who are on this team, who've been on this mission for a while, let us always remember that the greatest virtue of the victor is magnanimity. Magnanimity. Let us be humble, let us be welcoming, and let's let everyone who worked for Chris Koster know that we aim to serve them as well. We're going to serve them as well. Folks, around this state, there were thousands of people who stepped up, who joined this movement, who joined a grassroots movement, the likes of which hasn't been seen in Missouri in a generation. And we had law enforcement officers who brought out their friends and their family. I mean, they made thousands of phone calls for us. We had high school students who were up before the sun rose, hanging up campaign signs. And we had so many strong veterans from around this state who stood beside us. And I know that we did something truly special. I know that we did something truly remarkable because somebody just told me that we even had an Army guy who voted for me. So we're bringing everybody together. Look, folks, you okay, buddy? You okay, buddy? Guys, this campaign reminded all of us. It reminded all of us that great teams are forged in the fire of great struggle. And all of us on this campaign, we knew how much it was at stake. We knew how many people were counting on us to win this election. That mission gave us clarity and courage. That sense of shared purpose gave us strength. And look, like me, most of you have never been involved in politics before. But you joined us, you carried our message, you believed in what we could do together, and tonight we made our voices heard. And look, folks, I know that this wasn't easy. But can I ask you all something? Did we have fun? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We had a fantastic campaign. Folks, tonight begins a new generation of conservative leadership here in Missouri. Tonight, we did more than win an election. We restored power to the people and we took our state back. There are so many tens of thousands of people around this state who are now counting on us. Children in a foster care system that is failing them. You may never meet them, but they need us. Tonight there are children in the inner cities of St. Louis and Kansas City, in the suburbs of Springfield and Cape Girardeau, and outside the farms of Hannibal, Maryville, and Mountain Grove, who are wondering if the American dream still applies to them, and we must stand up for them. There are law enforcement officers and first responders tonight who are putting their kids to bed and kissing their spouses goodbye, and they must know that we are always going to have their backs.
As you can see there, Eric Greitens talking about his victory tonight. He is the new governor-elect of Missouri.
And he obviously offered some conciliatory words there to the Koster supporters, saying that he and his team are here to help work with those people in the transition and also serve the people who voted today for Chris Koster. Your thoughts quickly on this race tonight?
You still want to come to me? I've been wrong the whole night.
You have been. No, get out of here. What are you doing here? Get out.
Exactly.
Put your computer away.
No, listen. I mean, this is amazing when you think about what the Republicans have pulled off here, and congratulations to them. I think, again, people with egg on their face will be the pollsters and the pundits who are essentially saying this thing was going to end up being close, but it was going to be a Hillary Clinton and a Democratic, essentially sweep. Because if you're moving the Senate closer to a 50-50, you're going to be losing Republican seats. We didn't see much of that happen. We're still waiting to see what happens with that Pennsylvania Senate seat. But for Missouri, I think Hillary Clinton was a drag on Democrats on those down ballot races, as I've been saying.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. It's not over yet. We've still got more things to tell you about. Don't go away.
We're not moving.